Have you ever felt too weak, too small, or too afraid to do something great? You're not alone. In fact, one of the most powerful stories in the Bible is about a man who felt exactly the same way, and yet God used him to do something incredible. This is the story of Gideon. The story begins in Judges 6. Israel was in a dark time. They had turned away from God, and as a result, he allowed their enemies, the Midianites, to overpower them. These Midianites were ruthless. They destroyed crops, stole livestock, and left the Israelites hiding in caves, living in fear. And then, God does something unexpected. He chooses a man named Gideon. But when we first meet Gideon, he doesn't look like a mighty warrior. In fact, he's hiding in a winepress, threshing wheat in secret, because he's terrified of the Midianites. Then, an angel appears and says something incredible: "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Judges 6:12. Gideon is confused. Mighty warrior? Him? He replies, "But Lord, how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." Judges 6 verse 15. Have you ever felt like that? Like you're too unqualified, too broken, too weak. Yet God says, "I will be with you." That promise changes everything. Gideon wants to be sure this is really from God, so he asks for signs. And God, in his patience, gives them. He burns up an offering with fire. He makes a fleece wet with dew while the ground is dry, and then flips it the next night. God isn't angry at Gideon's fear. He's nurturing his faith. Eventually, Gideon gathers an army of 32,000 men to fight the Midianites. But then, God says something shocking: "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast." Judges 7:2. So God tells Gideon to send home anyone who's afraid. 22,000 leave. Now, Gideon has just 10,000. Still too many. God then tells Gideon to bring the men to the water. Only those who drink a certain way are chosen. In the end, only 300 men remain. 300, against an army of thousands. This isn't a battle plan, it's a faith plan. God wanted Israel to know, "This victory is not by your strength, but by mine." That night, Gideon was still afraid. So God tells him to sneak into the enemy camp. There, he overhears a soldier talking about a dream, about a loaf of bread crashing into a tent, symbolizing Israel's victory. Another soldier responds, "This can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon." God has given the Midianites into his hands. Judges 7:14. Gideon's heart is filled with courage. He returns to his camp and declares, "Get up. The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." Judges 7:15. He splits the 300 men into 3 groups. No swords. No spears. Just trumpets, clay jars, and torches. At night, they surround the Midianite camp. Suddenly, they blow the trumpets, break the jars, and shout, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." Judges 7:20. The enemy is thrown into chaos. In their panic, they turn on each other. Gideon's army doesn't even need to fight. God wins the battle. This story is more than history. It's your story. It's about a God who sees greatness in you, even when you feel like a nobody. It's about a God who calls the fearful, equips the weak, and wins battles in impossible ways. Gideon didn't win because he was strong. He won because he trusted the one who is. "Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord." Zechariah 4 verse 6. So if you're feeling weak, if your life feels outnumbered, if fear is whispering you can't, remember the story of Gideon. God is not looking for the strongest. He's looking for the willing. Because in the hands of God, even 300 can overcome thousands. Even the weakest can become warriors. Even you can do something great. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded God can use them too.